Grow Cook Eat is proudly sponsored by StopFoodWaste.ie and Bord Bia. Grow Cook Eat is proudly sponsored by Bord Bia and StopFoodWaste.ie.
It's a month since we last checked in on the container courgettes and the weather is magic. So, as lovely as this is, I think I'd better actually check on my courgettes in the container. And check these heroes out. They are doing brilliantly well. Loads of growth, loads of flowers, both male and female. So in another few weeks' time, they'll be absolutely ready to harvest. The one thing they desperately do need though, however, is a drink. Look, the soil is pretty dry and you know in containers, they need ever more watering. So it needs a really, really good soak.
Looking good, isn't it?
Yeah, well done.
Oh, thank you.
Keep up the growing.
Yeah, I'm doing my best, you know. So they're doing really, really well.
Yeah, I see lots of flowers.
Yeah. So the male ones, as is, I suppose, pretty typical, as you would expect, do very little.
You said it, dude,
Yeah.
not I.
So you know the difference between these. The male ones come on the end of these kind of long,
Stalky stems.
stalky bits. And the female ones immediately start to get the fruit behind them.
Yeah.
So that's how you can kind of tell the
Like,
difference,
yeah.
yeah? So it's the female ones you want. And if you see a courgette plant with loads of male flowers on it, it typically means it's under a bit of stress
Okay.
and not happy.
So do you kill it off, say sorry, better luck next time? Or do you
no,
try
you'd be
and
trying
feed
to
it, nourish
exactly,
it, bring
yeah,
it along?
Trying to bring it along.
Encourage
so these have plenty. And bearing in mind, each one of these plants we would hope to get 40 or 50 courgettes from in a single season.
I sense a lot of spirulizing coming on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Now, you know the way you see sometimes edible courgette flowers?
Oh, JB loved these, our head chef at Grove HQ. Yes.
So
he's a
these
fiend.
are edible. They're absolutely delicious. You can eat them raw. Generally speaking, they're kind of battered and fried and with a ricotta cheese or something in the middle. And obviously only pick the male ones.
Yes.
'Cause the male ones are useless.
Because they're useless. So, come here, is there much more that we need to do now, or is it low maintenance?
I think it's just about keeping an eye on watering really at this stage.
Good.
And
Did you water these this morning?
So these got a really good watering this morning already. The soil is kind of starting to dry out, but there's no point doing it when height of the day, sun rather. So we give them another watering tomorrow morning.
So is that it?
That's it.
Woohoo! Beach!
If left to their own devices, courgettes will continue to grow, and they can get really big. So it's important to get a rolling harvest started. So the thing is, we need to keep these really productive for another good couple of months, right? And there's two things we need to think about now. One is feeding, and the second thing is a problem called powdery mildew. Mildew is caused by lack of water. And basically, if that takes hold of the whole plant, it's going to absolutely kill it off eventually. And the key to dealing with it is good old-fashioned milk, right? We don't use a full-fat milk, funnily enough, we use semi-skilled milk. And the reason is, if you use kind of full-fat milk, you tend to get a kind of a smell of sour milk as it tends to go off over a few days. So we dilute it down, 1 part milk to 10 parts water. So I've got a full watering can here, so I'm just going to add this into it. Just mix that through, and then we just literally spray it onto the leaves. And you can do this every kind of 2 weeks in the summer months, and that should keep that mildew at bay and keep the plant really productive. The other thing we need to do is give a feed. So we talked about this. A courgette, a very, very, very hungry plant, and particularly in containers, that they'll need to be fed. But also here in the raised beds at this stage, they've been in the beds now for a good couple of months. So what we're going to do is nice, decent handful of the poultry manure pellets, which give it just about the feed that it needs at this time of the year. So we're just going to sprinkle them around, probably 2 handfuls between them. And very importantly, that you do need to give that a good watering in so that it activates and gets a chance to kind of work its magic on these courgettes. So hopefully that will keep these really productive right up until the end of October, certainly until the first frosts.
might not be the best grower, even though I'm trying to give Michael Kelly a run for his money, but I have over the last couple of years given a few things a go, except for mushrooms. No clue, no idea how, but today I'm going to find out.
Nick and Catherine from Fancy Fungi have a very different type of farm in a sleepy corner of County Wexford.
This is amazing. I have never been in a growing environment like this. It's dark, obviously, for the mushrooms. That much I do know. What else do they need?
It's humid. It has to be a very high humidity to get the mushrooms to grow, not to dry out, keep them fresh. Just you sort of encourage the growing environment
Okay.
to help produce the mushrooms.
Yeah, well, it's clearly working. Oh my God, look at the size of them. Is this a kind of harvestable size?
This would be the time when it's actually time to harvest, yeah.
Okay. How long does it take to go from, I'm guessing, like an empty bale, block? What do you kind of call the original
Well, once the
thing?
compost is made, it's bore's added and it's compressed into a block. From the oysters, about 4 to 6 weeks before we get fruit, we start to
Fruit.
pin.
Okay, interesting. So
Pin,
these are
yeah.
so mushroom. The end result of a mushroom is called a fruit.
Yes, yeah, the
God,
fruit body. Yeah.
tomatoes, mushrooms.
It starts off with pinning, which is very small mushroom. It'd be a bit smaller than this, and as
Okay.
they get bigger, they get into the fruiting stage where the mushroom opens up and it's ready to pick.
It's ready to go.
I'm dying to find out how these guys got into fungi, so time for a quick walk and a chat with Catherine.
For us, I suppose it started about 20 years ago. We used to come for like walks down in the local forest and places like this with our dog, and we'd be picking up mushrooms. We're looking to see.
Oh my God, they're everywhere.
We'd be picking up mushrooms off the side of the ditch and thinking, gosh, these are fabulous. Let's bring them into one of the restaurants and see, what
Okay.
can we do with these?
You were doing the foraging, brought them in, thought there's obviously a demand for some
Yeah.
really great mushrooms.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
how hard can this be?
We brought them to a few restaurants, exactly, and they all kind of said, look, this is going to end. This season is going to end. We won't have mushrooms next week or the week after. And they're like, quick, can you not just grow them?
So come here, I have to ask though. I know you have 2 kids, no more than myself. Do they eat mushrooms?
Of course they do. Mushrooms
Katrina,
are fabulous.
they are fabulous, but I do not know any child that eats them. Tell the truth.
Okay, they don't eat them. They eat them.
As well as being a family of full-time fungi farmers, Nick and Catherine are part of a very interesting initiative called the Food Family.
The Food Family was set up in 2011, so it's going 7 years and it's going quite strong. We've got 45 members and a lot of restaurants and shops are supporters at the moment. So basically they are buying all our Wexford locally produced products.
Oh yeah, so it's not just growers, it's
not
everybody
growers.
involved.
Everybody's involved, yes. We're not a factory, we're a family. We're not, we're the ones that are up, at 2 o'clock in the morning putting labels on things. Even the kids, okay, you're not going to bed at 10 o'clock at night, okay? You're staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning till all those jars are labelled. The grandparents, to us, to the kids, anyone that comes to visit for a coffee there, can you just stick labels on that while we have a show tomorrow, please? It's the families are producing the food and it's the families that are eating the food.
Yeah.
And it all works together,
And so everybody's supporting each
Everybody's
other.
supporting each other, yeah.
It's my favourite time of the year.
Christmas?
It's harvest day for courgettes.
Well, it's another harvest day for courgettes because these guys just keep on giving.
Yeah.
How
They
many have
are-
we harvested already?
They are relentless
Relentless.
in an almost horror movie-esque type of way. I think we said we'd do probably 30 to 40 courgettes per plant. I'd say we've certainly done 25 off that one. Like, they are just unbelievable.
Yeah, and
It's
there's
like
more to go.
The day of the Triffids. There is more to come. So we talk a little bit because courgette, like, they're so quick growing that literally, you have one kind of that length, and if you go off for the weekend or go away for 3 or 4 days or just forget about them, which is the most likely one,
Tell the
and you
truth.
come back and they're like this length. Like,
Okay.
they're just unbelievably fast growing. So I think it's time to get these
Yeah,
out
let's
of
get
there.
them in.
For the best tasting courgettes, you want to harvest them at about pencil length. Come here, how are your containers going?
Yes, my container courgettes have done incredibly well. There's still a few left. Want to come see?
Yeah,
Okay,
let's
let's
go
go.
look. Ah,
Now,
he
Mike Kelly,
said,
these are amazing.
Can I
Yeah.
harvest them?
Well-
Since you did mine.
Okay, that's only
Yeah.
fair. I'll share the secateurs.
You know, one other thing.
Yeah.
Do you know the way we were saying with the ones outside will be killed off by the first bit of cold weather? There's still a couple of little tiny teeny ones there that might, if this is kept inside, I think that might get another couple out of this.
Brilliant. I think
That's
it's fair
been-
to say courgettes have been a resounding
They're
success,
amazing.
both in the beds and in the containers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Courgettes, the weapon of mass production.
Oh. Time for Katie to give our courgettes the best possible send-off. She's going to rustle up a raw courgette carpaccio that's a perfect summer's day snack.
First, we're going to take the courgettes. I'm just going to take the ends off. I'm just going to slice them on a kind of thinnish setting. You get quite a lot out of a courgette when you do it like this. So we've got our courgette done. I'm not going to put the dressing on them yet because I want them to only be in it for about 4 minutes. And I'm going to move on to my crispy caperberries. So I've got some oil that's already been preheated. We've got some sunflower oil in there. So we're going to test a caperberry by just popping it into the oil. And it's really cool. What happens immediately is it rises to the top and it starts to open out and flour. That's definitely hot enough. So I'll just put a handful in. You just want to wait until they're brown slightly and the whole of the berry's gone open like this. So the caperberries add a really nice, like, kind of salty texture to the whole thing. And because we've fried them up like this, there's a really nice bit of crunch as well. And next we're going to put some walnuts in the oven to roast. It's not too high a heat. It's about 160 degrees and they're only in there for a few minutes. While our walnuts are in the oven, we're just going to make a really simple tomato salad to go with it. And we've got some really nice tomatoes from the greenhouse outside. And I'm just going to dress it with a little bit of salt and pepper and some oil. And some basil. I'm going to dress them as well with just salt, pepper and olive oil. I'm just looking for the courgettes to soften slightly. I don't want them to soften too much. They'll start to release water if you leave them for too long. So I reckon you're doing this for about 4 or 5 minutes. You just want loads of salt and pepper on them and a little bit of softness in them. It needs a little bit of acid, so I'm going to add some lemon juice. So it's quite fashionable to have like your food getting quite high, whereas I think it's also really nice to have flat food as well. It's kind of just a different way of looking at it, and I think it sometimes celebrates your plates as well. Yeah, I think that looks great. I love the way the courgettes look. So I'm going to get my walnuts out before they burn. I've got my parmesan, my caperberries. I'm going to first start with my parmesan. You're trying to cover the whole thing. And so then this is really cool. The walnut actually looks exactly the same as the parmesan. So you don't really notice it very much when you first look at it. And when you bite into it, you get the really nice nutty taste. And then I've got my crispy caperberries. So they're going to go on top here. You don't want to put too much of these guys on. They're really, really salty. So I've got a little bit of parsley over here. And I'm just going to finish it off with a few little sprigs. So that's our courgette carpaccio with parmesan and crispy caperberries. And alongside that, we're going to serve a really simple tomato basil salad. It's kind of like the taste of summer.
Oh my God, that looks amazing.
Is that actually courgettes? Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we've made a courgette carpaccio with parmesan and crispy caperberries.
This is really not what we expected, is
No,
it?
not
Because I was
remotely.
thinking, like, when I'm coming into the house at home with courgettes, it's like I'm carrying 15 of them. I'm thinking chutneys, I'm thinking... And this is it raw?
Yeah, you just keep them really simple. Lemon juice, olive oil, and really simple, easy. Yeah.
That looks glorious. Yeah, let's have a little dive.
Is this like knife skills to get them that
No, I
thin?
I cheated. I used a mandolin.
Okay.
There's some walnuts on there as well, so it's microplaned in the same
God.
kind of way.
So I think overall the courgettes, big success.
Resounding success.
But they were, in fairness. And like from one seed, one plant, probably 40 courgettes, unbelievably prolific. And retaining all the nutrients. in there
Katie,
as
you
well,
have
'cause
shown
they're
us
raw.
the light.
Yeah.
Shown us the light.
Amazing.
Right, come on, let's dig in.
While we tuck in, why not log on to growcookeat.ie for all the info you need to get your courgette growing in the garden.
See you next week back in Grow HQ when we'll be growing the marmite of veg, kale.
I love kale.
Grow Cook Eat is proudly sponsored by StopFoodWaste.ie and Board Bia.